Harley's 2011 XR1200X here. It's basically a upgraded version of the XR1200 that Harley produced about 2008 or so, from pressure that the European market wanted one of these bikes really badly. And for once, that's the first time that Harley bowed to the European pressure and didn't give us a bike. But that quickly changed once we complained enough. So here it is, XR1200X. And really the main difference between this and the XR1200 is the big piston fork from Showa in the front. Really all it is a newer technology for front fork design that eliminates some of the parts of the traditional cartridge fork and uses the fork tube as the cartridge itself. So just you get a better fluid motion for the fork, which results in firmer ride and better compliance. Now, the seating position of this XR1200 is pretty neutral. I mean, the bars are not too far forward, not too far back, just about upright and in arm's length. The pegs are pretty standard positioning also. There's nothing, it's not cruiser-like, it's not too far back, it's not sport bike-like, it's not too far backwards either. It's just a nice standard riding position, which on paper sounds kind of weird, but for a Harley anyway. But it works for this bike. I mean, you can toss it around with ease. It's a comfortable bike to ride. I mean, I wish it would have had some kind of wind protection, because above 75 miles an hour, at least for my small frame, it's pretty hard to hang on to this bike. But otherwise, it's a pretty neutral riding bike, and it's really quite something. Around 2007, 2008 or so, the European market for Harley-Davidson was kind of pestering the company to really put pressure on them to make a dirt track inspired motorcycle for the European market, because those things sell strongly over there. And Harley's response was to come out with the XR1200, which looks vaguely similar to this bike in front of me right now. But that's the first time ever that the European market got a Harley-Davidson that never came to the States. And so after some pressure from this side of the pond, Harley decided to release it all over the world, including in America. And so for 2011, they decided to upgrade the bike to the XR1200X, which is this bike in front of me. The Sportster engine, the 1200cc engine, actually makes a little bit less power than the traditional Sportster lineup because of the relocated air intake, which is right here, and compared to on the side mount right here on the other Sportsters, that's one of the drawbacks, if you want to call it that, of this design. But the looks department kind of benefits because it just integrates so well into the design of the bike. So the main difference between the XR1200 of a few years past and this X model is the front suspension, or more specifically the BPF fork or big piston fork from Showa. Now what the difference is, the BPF or big piston fork actually uses the entire fork tube as the cartridge itself instead of traditional fork cartridges. So that allows greater movement or displacement of the fork fluid, which means less parts inside the fork tube itself, and more range of adjustability between the compression, rebound, and preload dampings. So it's just a more fluid overall fork action, which provides better ride and just is a simpler design than the cartridge fork of before. Moving back, you see these side swept exhaust, which is very reminiscent of the dirt track XR750 motorcycle. In the rear, you've got twin suspension, dual shocks, which have preload and compression adjustability. So pretty much the front and rear of this motorcycle are adjustable for all kinds of riding styles, all kinds of rider types, anything really. And this is no sport bike by any means, but in these canyon roads we've been riding around today, this bike is more than capable of getting around these tight, twisty roads with just the slightest twitch of the bars and you're over on its side. Just a cool machine that does everything well, but isn't, you know, at the upper echelon. But look at this thing, it's cool.